Hey, everyone, and we are live. Welcome to the Fabulous Life Masterclass with your host, Dr. J. I am so excited about our guest tonight, Mississippi very own Aunjanue Ellis. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Hello, hello, hello.
Cool. So we've been doing this master class throughout this pandemic, just trying to motivate and inspire people. People rarely have authentic conversation like these about life, about what is love, who is God, what is success. And so we're going to talk about some of that tonight. And so we want to start off by asking you, who is Aunjanue Ellis?
Well, I guess the most defining thing about um, who I am, or like what my identity is, that I am the daughter and the granddaughter. I'm the granddaughter of Murtis Taylor, Sister Murtis Taylor, and I am the daughter of Jacqueline Taylor. And those women, of course, live in me biologically, but the women that they are to me still orders my steps um, in what I do professionally and what I do personally. I still want to make them proud. Um, and I still pray that they can, see me when I'm doing well, and hopefully don't see me when I'm doing, not so well. But and then I am a daughter of Mississippi. I say that with tremendous pride. Everything that I am, every great thing that has ever happened in my life, I can trace back to my roots from Mississippi. I would not be here talking to you right now, Dr. J, if I had not spent those 2 years at Tugulu College. No one would give a crap about, excuse my language, about anything I had to say. I would not be acting on television and film, and if I had not if it were not for Mississippi, if it weren't for my journey in Mississippi. I love the place. It's problematic and difficult for me because of its history and its present, and essentially its future too, unless we change things. But it has formed me in a way that I am forever grateful for that. I am a sister. I am an aunt, a proud aunt. And yeah, that's who I am.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that great introduction. So who is God to you?
Who is God to me? Well, God is love to me. I was raised in the Baptist church. I went to a church in Magnolia, Mississippi, called New Home Baptist Church. And it was also, that time at New Home was a part of my formative years. It is also who I am. I am the daughter of that as well, of daughter of New Home Baptist Church. It was the first place that I did plays. It was my first understanding of what Black art is, came from that church. So having said that, that is my background, but I have had to find what God is outside of that experience. And for me, what I know to be truth is that I have had a profound love for me and shared with me by my mother, by my grandmother, by my sister, by my niece, by my nephew. And that is what God is to me, because it is something that goes beyond our our psychic and biological understanding. It is irrepressible. It is undeniable. It is unkillable, unassailable. And that is what gives me the most joy. And essentially it is what my moral compass is, because the love that I have for Black people is what makes me be the social justice warrior that I am. You know, I say that humbly, but makes me be the agitator that I am. It's what makes me, get on a video and talk directly to, Tate Reeves's wife about that flag. Like, it's the love that I have for Black people that fuels that. So that's what God is to me. God is love.
And I can definitely relate to you saying that, when we grew up, we were just going through the motions. And until we actually had to establish a real relationship with God ourselves and understand and know what that looked like for ourselves,
Yes.
instead of going by what someone has drilled into our heads. And so, I like to have this conversation because most people, they just go by what they was raised off of.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I've had to, reject a lot of things that I was told in the church. And to be honest with you, I went through a period of atheism. I will fully and shamelessly say that. And I arrived at that not because I couldn't believe in something that I couldn't see. It wasn't like that. It was because I felt so rejected by the things that I learned in church, which some of them were misogyny. Some of them were homophobia, misogyny, homophobia, this worship that we have of this white Jesus that was like in the, when I got baptized under a white Jesus. It was all of that stuff that I could not endorse. I couldn't believe in that. So I had to, as you said, come into an understanding for what that would be like for me. How does that work for me? Because I do believe, I don't think that you can be a Black person in this country and not believe in something higher. How we are still connected to what we were, hundreds of years ago in a whole other continent. How we're still so connected to that, how we survived, how we got over. There is something that makes no sense, right, about that. And when I go to worship, I tease my my partner, and who is a child of the church, and everybody in his family is a minister, and I tease him because I go to church more than he does. But when I go to church, I go because I need to feel that power of Black people in worship. I need that. It feeds me. And what we're worshiping, whether it's, it's ancestry, it's ancestors, it's whatever that is, there is a power in that that is, that is not of this earth. That is not of this earth. And that I went through my moment of atheism, and then I came back. I didn't go back to New Home Baptist Church. I came to something else. Yeah.
Wow. And so you said God is love. A lot of people go for something bigger than themselves to actually feel that they are a part of something. And so a lot of people, you ask people what love is, they couldn't tell you what love is. So I'm asking you, what is love in your own words?
I do believe, I know this is a little bit of a cliche, but it's a cliche because, cliches are used so often because they're true, that love is a verb. And that's the kind of love that I believe in. And so, I think about, moments where my grandmother, how she cried for me when I was, injured badly, horrifically injured when I was a student at college. And I looked at the worry in her eyes because she thought she didn't know what was going to happen to me. I know that was love. I know that was love. I look at how my sister is constantly telling me what I need to do with my life. And not telling me because she's trying to be the boss of me. She's 12 years younger than I am, but she's doing it because she wants better for me than I want for myself. I look at the relationship that I had with my mother, and one of these moments was we were in New Orleans. And it was raining, and we were in a CVS parking lot. And my mother loved "Step in the Name of Love" by R. Kelly. I'm not an R. Kelly apologist. Don't nobody at me. I'm just telling you that was a song that she loved. So it was raining. We were in a CVS parking lot, and she loved that song. And so she said to me, "Aunjanue, dance with me." And I said, "Mommy, we out in public. People are gonna look at us like we crazy." And she said, "No, come dance with me. Come dance with me." And so I went into CVS. I got what I was getting out of CVS, and I came back outside and got in the car with her. And she said, "Come on, come dance with me." And so I got out of the car, and I took my mama's hand, and me and my mother were dancing in the rain in a CVS parking lot in New Orleans. And I know that she wanted to dance with me under those circumstances because she loved me. She wanted to share that with someone that she loved. That's what love is to me. I can't tell you what it is, but I can tell you what it feels like. And that's what it meant. That rain falling on me as I'm holding my mother's hand, listening to that music. That's what love is to me.
Wow. Well, in 1 Corinthians 13, Paul described love. He said, "Love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, love is not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in truth. Love bears all things, love believes all things, love hopes all things, and love endures all things." And so, like I said, most of us can't get past the first line. Love is patient, love is kind.
Mm-hmm.
So when we say we love somebody, we got to be patient, we got to be kind. And so sometimes it's not easy to do.
No, it is not easy to do. It is the hardest thing in the world to do. I mean, it's cute, it can be real cute. You can dress it up and make it look like, love, but love is the hard stuff. Love is the hard stuff. Yeah.
Brother Clark says, "Who do you feel is responsible for your spiritual growth?"
Whew. My spiritual growth. I think, my family. My family is responsible for my family is responsible for my spiritual growth. And I would also say that I would say that people, my ancestors, my ancestors, Fannie Lou Hamer, Ella Baker, that's where I get my spiritual edification from women like that. That's where it comes from.
So how would you describe success?
Whew. You know, success is, to me, it can look a lot of different ways, but I have to say that personal success to me is being able to have crabs when I want to with my family, you know, and not have to worry about it. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of stuff. I know it sounds simple, but being able to have those kinds of moments and take care of the people that I love. Jay-Z talks about this. He says, it's success ain't success if you're the only one who feel it. If you're the only one who feels successful around you, then you're not successful. And that's how I feel about it. If I'm going to eat, everybody around me going to eat. And so when I have those moments where I can be of service to the people around me, the people in my life, the people in my community, that's when I feel successful.
Well, let me just say that you have been, I don't even know what word to use, because I've learned so much from you, and I feel like just being around you, even make me feel more successful. The things, the energy that you bring off, and you're so humble, Aunjanue. The things that you have accomplished, most people wouldn't, they just wouldn't be as humble as you are, and you do help a lot of people. And I just want to say thank you for the work that you've done here in Mississippi. Thank you for giving back to Camp Fabulous. Just thank you for all the work that you've done.
Well, thank you, Dr. J. It means so much to me that I know women like you, women like Ebony, women like Rukia, and discovering other women who are walking in the path of Fannie Lou Hamer and Victoria Gray Adams and Annie Devine, and they knew that what they were fighting for was something bigger than being able to vote. That it was that the community, they were so tied in the community that it was about keeping people fed. It was about people's educational growth. It was a holistic concern that these women had, and so there's a story of the civil rights movement, but there's a story of the freedom rights movement. Right? The freedom movement, which was central to what the people in Mississippi were fighting for, which is very different from what, Martin Luther King and the civil rights folks were fighting for. Not to disparage that at all. But what Fannie was fighting for folks to have food on the table. Because, her philosophy was, you asking people to go vote, and they don't have shoes on their feet. You're asking people to go vote, and they're hungry. So there was a holistic concern for Black personhood, and that's what you guys are doing. And so it is an honor for me, to support that.
Wow. Thank you. And so, what about your biggest regrets? Well, first, let's say, what are the thing you are most proud of? What is your biggest accomplishment?
What am I most proud of? What I'm most proud of, it's not necessarily pride. I would say that it's something that I'm happy that I did it. And I think because it's not something to be proud of. It's, if you love somebody, it's what you're supposed to do. But, I took care of a family member for a very long time. And I made that choice. made the choice to do that. I made the choice to leave the life I was living somewhere else and come back home to Mississippi and to take care of that family member. And I think it's not what I'm most proud of. I wouldn't put it in those terms, but I think it's the most important thing that I've ever done in my life was returning home and to take care of my family member. And I believe that, every time I say to somebody, I live in Mississippi, and they, look at me funny and look at me strange. Literally I told somebody who, this person was from Virginia, and they were like, "Where you from?" And I said, "I'm from Mississippi." And they, as I'm saying, I didn't even get the second crooked letter out of my mouth. They turned around and walked away from me. So there's a stigma attached to Mississippi that I'm sure you're aware of Dr. J, when you leave Mississippi. I'm sure you get that. There's a perception, a stereotype of Mississippi. So anyway, I feel that, so when I say to people that I work with, right, that I'm from Mississippi, like they're just like, and they're, "Oh, you from there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm from there. I live there. I just left there this morning. Like, that's where I'm from, And they look at me like they can't believe it, like, how are you doing this? And you from Mississippi? How you from Mississippi? How you? And I have to say to them that I this is my life. It's what I do. I live in Mississippi and I act. And and folks don't believe it. Like, they try to play me cheap about it. I heard one of these women I acted with, and she was like, "Aunjanue claims Mississippi as her home." You know what I mean? Like, it's just like they can't wrap their minds around the fact that I chose doing what I do. If I did something else, it might be more acceptable to people. But because I make my living on television and movies or whatever, it's just, they just can't accept it. And so staying there and choosing to stay there, no matter how frustrating it is, no matter how angry I get at Tate Reeves and his idiotic choices, but sticking it out and staying there because I know what's important. Even after my family member has gone on, I'm still gonna stay there. And I think that's the most important choice. It's not necessarily what I'm most proud of, but it is the most important choice that I've ever made.
Yeah, we need you here in Mississippi. You and prime time.
Oh my God! No, what's up with that?
Oh, I got on my Jackson State shirt today. I'm excited about prime time.
Everybody in my family went to Alcorn, so they
hot right now. Oh,
yeah, we have to talk about that on, in another conversation.
Yes. And so, in contrast, what would you say is your biggest failure or your biggest regret?
I think I was taught what sin is, but I believe that sin is not necessarily what I was taught sin is, especially sin that adversely affects the person that you are. And I have found that for me, sin is fear. And I have committed sin. I have committed some sin because of the choices that I've made that have been rooted in fear. I made choices when I was much younger than I am now that I'm affected by right now. And I made those choices because I just thought I would have another chance, because you're young. So you think, oh, it'll come back around. And for a long time, though, that it didn't come, it never, and in fact, it never came back around. I made professional choices. I made stupid decisions. One time I, didn't do something because of a man in my life. He was a boy at the time. He was, we were both, not grown. And I live with that decision. I made the choice to not, this is going to sound small, but I made the choice to not, audition for something because I was scared to fly, So I made those choices years ago, and I'm still affected by those choices now. And so the last few years, I was in a professional wilderness for a long, long time, long time. I was working, but I was always working on things that people never saw the light of day, or it'd be on television or somewhere and for 5 minutes and then it'd be off the air, as quick as it came on the air. So I did a lot of that work for a long, long, long time. And it wasn't up until, a few years ago that changed. And I started to work on projects that people actually saw. They went to the movies and saw. They watched it on television. But that has only happened in the last, few years. And I think about that, and I think about, you never know, but I think about the fact that what if I didn't make that choice? What if I didn't make those choices? Because I sit back and I watch these, juggernaut careers of my contemporaries, and I go, wow, I could be competitive with this person if only I had made that choice. And so what I can tell you is that what I regret is my fear, operating in fear. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say, oh, I've overcome that, because I haven't. It is a constant battle. It is a constant battle with my sin. And that sin is fear.
Let me say this, Aunjanue. All things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. That means even the mistakes we make are working for our good. You know what I'm saying? The things that you didn't do serve a purpose. So I don't want you to be thinking that, oh, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Everything. He said before he formed us in the womb, he knew us by name. He set us apart as a prophet to the nations. He knew everything you was going to do when you got here. He knew all the mistakes we was going to make, and he still put us here. What a gracious God we serve.
Yeah, I hear you. However, I can't be making no choices because I'm scared. I can't do that. I had to stop that. And like I said, I still struggle with it. I still struggle with that. But what I don't want to do is ever feel like, woulda, shoulda, coulda. I can't stand that. I cannot stand that. I can't abide that. So yeah, I'm working on that.
Brother Samuel said, do you turn down certain roles for moral reasons? And I've noticed that you select a certain type of film. So I think this is intentional.
Well, I have to say that I think that the universe has been ordering my steps a little bit lately. I've been doing work that I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm proud of my acting or anything like that. I'm proud of the projects that I've been in. Like I feel, like I don't have to apologize because I've been in certain projects, these projects that I've been in the last few years. I would be I would be, how should I say this? I would be saying that these projects were worth seeing, even if I weren't in them. So they would be projects that I would be attracted to, and the gravity would be there for me with those movies or films or whatever, even if I weren't involved with them. So it just is just now I'm actually in them as opposed to sitting somewhere and watching them. I'm in them. So yeah, I think I lost track of what you asked me. What you say? Oh, the roles. Yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily. Oh, okay, so we talked about I talked about what sin is and what we were taught what sin is, and I think that racism is a sin. I think that white supremacy is a sin, and we weren't taught that. And I don't think white people are teaching that in their churches either, especially in Mississippi. They don't teach that. So in those terms, ask me the question again.
The roles. I'm thinking that you are intentional about the roles that you select.
Yes. So here's the thing. There are things that I've chosen not to audition for because I thought that they were white, because I thought they propagated white supremacy. So yeah, I have turned those down. But I want people to understand that it's not because it's how I define morality, right? And I think that white supremacy is immoral. I think anti-Black racism is immoral. So roles that a role or a project that would reinforce white supremacy, reinforce anti-Black racism, reinforce misogyny, those are projects that I don't gravitate to.
Wow. So, what is your favorite movie?
Whew. Dr. J, I refuse to answer that. Because I have so many. I have so many. Because I'm such a movie head. Like I love movies. I love movies, And so I cannot pick one. I cannot. You're not talking about movies I've been in. You just talking about movies in general, right?
That was gonna be my follow-up question.
Oh.
But you know what? I would like to see them do a Black version of The Fugitive. And I know I really love that movie with and I know they did a version with Wesley Snipes.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't as good as there's something about Tommy Lee Jones that made that movie, what it was.
I know. I love that movie too. I watched that movie like several times.
Yes, I can watch it over and over.
Several times.
Kimball.
Yes, I'm with you on The Fugitive. I'm with you on that. Wasn't LaTanya Richardson in that? Was she in the original one, or was she in the?
She wasn't in there, but it was a Black girl in there that had a powerful voice. I don't know. I haven't seen her in anything else, but she I mean, her job in that movie, because every time I hear her voice, you're gonna stop and listen, and she could make attention in that movie.
Yes, let's see who. Okay, so what was your follow-up question?
So, out of the movies you've done, what was your favorite movie?
The movies I've done. What was my favorite? I'm trying to find this woman's name. L. Scott Caldwell.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
Scott.
Yeah. Yep. That's who it was. That's what it was.
Okay.
You're gonna make me watch that. Yeah, that was a good one. That I've done. I can tell you the ones that I've had the most fun in, that I've enjoyed doing the most. I had the most fun doing the Clark Sisters. That was definitely the most fun that I've had, going to work every day. That was the most fun I've had.
And I think everybody can and would agree that your role in that movie was just exceptional. We felt like we was watching Dr. Maddie Clark. Good job.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So you In other movies that you want to bring up that you really enjoyed working on? I love you and Ray.
Yeah. I had fun working on that too. I had fun working on that too. I guess I'm like, I wish I was in that more. You know what I mean? Like, I wish, because that was fun. That was fun. So I just wish I had more to do in that. But I had fun playing Marianne Fisher. I did enjoy that, and working alongside Jamie Foxx, and he was just. It felt like Ray Charles was reincarnated, right?
Oh, he made that man come alive. Oh my goodness,
It was
powerful.
just eerie, eerie. So sitting next to him and, and doing that, that was a good time. I had a good time on that too.
The
And
next time,
the King and hitting it off with her, scrapping with her. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that.
look, next time I see you, I'm gonna grab your hand like he was. Oh, that was a good movie.
Nothing's better.
What about books? What is your favorite book?
Favorite book. That's another one. I can't answer that. I'll just tell you can I tell you what I've been reading lately?
Yes.
Okay. So what I've been reading lately that I highly recommend, highly recommend, is this book called In the Wake. And it's by Christina Sharp. And Christina Sharp is this cultural critic whose focus is on is centers on race, issues of race. And she's from, I want to say, Philadelphia. Yeah, she's from Philly, I think. Yeah, she's from Philly, and but she's a professor at the school called York University, and it's in Toronto, in Canada. She's this woman is bad, and the whole premise of her book is that anti-Black racism is to this country what the weather is to the universe, to the world.
Ooh.
So, and that you can take that as being, oh, that's depressing. You know what that means? It ain't, what we're gonna do about the weather. But what she does is say, now that we know that, and I think we can really accept that that's what the case is, right? Now that we know that, what do we do now? And so when you look at it like that, it becomes this opportunity to imagine things differently. It becomes an opportunity, a gateway, a portal for innovation, for new language. And yeah, I it's one of the most important books that I've ever read. And so it's called In the Wake, and the author is Christina Sharp.
I'm gonna have to check that out. I
Yeah.
want to show this book.
Ooh, what is that? Dixie's Dirty Secret. What is it?
It said how the government, the media, and the mob reshaped modern Republican Party into the image of the old Confederacy.
Oh.
I mean, it breaks it down. It talks about, just give you the history about everything, the mob and how they was involved, killing
The
people,
mob?
the Sovereignty Commission, all that stuff is related. Yes.
Okay. Dirty Secret.
Dixie Dirty Secrets.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna order that. Where you get that from?
I think I probably got it at Barnes and Nobles. I go to the bookstore and just sit in there and read it and look what's in the back of it. Wow.
I got such a kick. I voted the other day, and I voted. We had no choice, so I voted for the flag.
Yay.
Yeah. Yep.
I must say, I never thought that this would come down. I mean, the hurdles that was in our way, and one tweet from the football player changed the game.
Come on. Come on.
Changed the game. So,
Come
hey,
on.
when they say that one person can't make a difference, yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Indeed.
So, what if you could send a message to your younger self? What would you say to your younger self?
I would tell my younger self that men come and men go. So keep it moving.
Right.
Especially my 20 self. Oh my God. Um, I would tell my younger self that however and wherever love presents itself, go in that direction. Um, no matter if it's a man or a woman, because we waste time on that, and I wasted a lot of time on that. I would say stop being a scaredy cat, stop being fearful, and enjoy yourself. Have more fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Okay.
So I saw one of the comments mention Lovecraft Country. Uh,
Mhm.
this is a new film on HBO that you're in. What can you tell us about this new project?
Uh, Lovecraft Lovecraft Country is a series on HBO, and it is based on a book by this author named Matt Ruff and Misha Green, who is the creator of the show and showrunner of the show, who was the creator and showrunner of this show called Underground. I think people are familiar with that. So this is her new show. It's been on since mid-August, and we have 2 more episodes. And what Lovecraft is, H.P. Lovecraft was this horror sci-fi writer who hated Black people, quite frankly, and his ghosts, his monsters, and his horror stories were symbolically his Black folks. So the paranoia that he was addressing in his novels and his short stories was the paranoia he felt about the Black invasion. Black folks invading his neighborhood, Black folks invading his life, and not just Black people, anybody who was not white. So that's who H.P. Lovecraft is. Lovecraft Country is a complete undoing of that. And what it does is it follows the premise of the series is that it follows a family in Chicago that writes the Green Book. There was actually a Green Book. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. There was a movie, The Green Book, but there was a Green Book, and what it was created by this postal carrier named Green, and he wrote this book, and it was to give Black people choices when they would go travel, so they would know where to eat, they would know where to sleep, they would know how they would be able to travel safely. So this is what this family does. We write this Green Book, and her husband and her nephew, they go on this journey to find my husband's missing brother. So that's the premise of it, and then it just goes all over the place. It's sci-fi, it's horror, and what it does is it it focuses and centers Black people in sci-fi and horror in a way that nothing has ever done on television and film before. Usually when Black people are in sci-fi and horror movies, we die in the first 10 minutes.
Right.
But I literally watched something today that's on HBO Max, called Raised by Wolves. And it's about a Black father and a white mother. And the Black man was dead within 20 minutes of the show. I was like,
like that.
I'm like, we still doing that? Are we still doing that? Anyway, Lovecraft Country does not do that. Lovecraft Country centers the Black experience. And yeah, I think it's worth watching for that. And Sunday, y'all, Sunday, Mississippians, Sunday, the show is going to feature something that relates to Mississippi. So I encourage you guys to watch it.
Cool. Yeah, when I saw the shedding of the skin in the episode, I was like, oh my goodness. And the fact that they got to experience what it was like being white. Please watch the show. And then last episode was all about you.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Yeah. That was fun.
So, anything else that you working on that you can tell us about?
Anything else I'm working on? I don't know. Just keep watching. Keep watching. Watch Lovecraft. And just keep your ear and your eye out on what's next for me.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you guys, I have maybe a couple more questions, but if you have any questions, definitely post your questions in the chat for Miss Ellis. We only have her for about 12 more minutes. And so I definitely want you to get your questions in, and we thank you all for watching. But you know, we're dealing with two pandemics right now. We're dealing with COVID-19 and we're dealing with racism. So what words would you give people out there that's watching that, you know, they may not have a job, they may be seeing everything that's going on TV, they may be hopeless. What message can you give to people to lift up their spirits during this trying time? Or even it can be a call to action.
Yeah, I think that has to be it. I think it has to be a call to action. I mean, in Mississippi, somebody sent me, you know, what Tate Reeves has done, which is lift the mandatory mask requirement in Mississippi. I mean, you know, this man is not interested in people living, especially people who look like you and me. He everything that he does is because he's a sycophant of 45, and he wants to please him and make him look good. So I wouldn't doubt in the coming weeks that other sycophants of 45 will do the same thing because they want him to look good in this election. But I would say that what we need to do, I wouldn't sit here and try to, you know, offer any sort of, you know, empty hope to anybody. And I think that, you know, what hope is how do we keep surviving? What is going to keep us here, you know? And I don't think that can be done in any sort of language. It is what you said. It has to be action. It has to be action. It has to be voting at this moment, particularly. It has to be voting. I don't care whether you like Joe Biden or not. I don't particularly love Joe Biden. I don't have anything for Joe Biden. I'm just going to tell you right now. But I know that 45 has to go because his being present is killing people. His being present, his being the president of the United States results in people dying. His being president directly results in children being put in cages. So that is the result of that man's presidency. And we can talk about him all day. Who has the time? But he has to go. He has to go. And I know that what I've heard from very, very smart people is, well, I don't want to choose between Biden is just the lesser of the two evils or whatever. And when I hear that, I go, when have Black people not had to choose between the lesser of two evils?
Exactly.
When? Tell me when. I want to know. Not even when Barack was running, because I think what we have to say about, now we know this.
Right.
Anybody who is president of this country is an agent of this country, and the president is only as good as the nation that it serves. And the nation that Barack Obama served and Jimmy Carter served, and two men who I think are good men, is the United States of America. And the United States of America kills Black people for sport. They did it when Jimmy Carter was in office. They did it when Barack Obama was in office. It balks at justice and it mocks people who fight for it. That's what this country is. So no matter how good of a person somebody is, they still are going to be the president of the United States of America. So what do we have to do? We have to do the practical thing. Right now, I'm voting because I'm trying to make sure that my nephew can continue to go to school virtually, because I feel like in the coming weeks, what this man Reeves is going to do is he's going to try to ban that too. And I don't want my nephew going back to school. I don't want him back in school. And I know I'm not alone in this.
Right.
So it's for very practical reasons that I say this. If you can sit back and say, well, I'm not going to vote because I don't want to choose the lesser of two evils, that means that you are in a position of privilege. And if you are in a position of privilege that you can just, vote your principles and vote your morals, you are useless to me at this moment. That's not what this moment means. I'm going to tell you this really quick story and I'm going to leave it alone. So Ella Baker, when she came down to work in Mississippi and work alongside the Mississippi Freedom Rights movement, Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. So she was an organizer of SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And Bob Moses, he came down here with, these high intentions of maintaining the principle of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. The key word in that is nonviolent, right? But Mississippians told him that that's not going to work down here. It's not going to work down here. Because we have to act with armed resistance in order for our children to not die in the streets. We know all the violence that happened, right? And here's the thing: if it were not for armed resistance in the state of Mississippi during that time, and still probably, that the violence against Black folks would have been even worse. So Ella Baker had to tell people like Bob Moses, who wanted to act in principle of nonviolence, she had to say to him, we don't have the privilege of our principles right now, essentially. That we cannot tell these people that they cannot protect their daughters and their wives, their children, their husbands. We cannot tell them that. So this is the moment that we find ourselves in right now. So you can say, I'm not going to vote because my principles won't allow me to. Well, if you're not going to vote because of your principles, vote for somebody else's child. Vote for them. And I think I would say that would be my call to action at this moment. Dr. J, you still there?
Oh, I'm just talking. Thinking I forgot to. I don't think people know what Trump is doing. I don't think people know about how powerful the courts are. The Supreme Court is the most powerful of the branches, even though they have co-equal power. The Supreme Court, when they sets a ruling, I mean, it becomes law. And so he's going around here putting all these racist judges in places on the federal courts around the nation that are going to set us back 50 years. I mean, he's undoing everything that we did and accomplished in the civil rights movement. That's why they love Trump so much, and they're getting rich.
Right. Come on with it.
Trump and his son, they brought all the PPP gear during that time when no one else could get it. They had it and was holding it hostages for the highest bidder. And I know this because my cousin was one of the people that was bidding on it. I brought some masks during that time from one of Trump's friends. They had all the masks.
Yes, ma'am. See, you want to talk about your principles? You want to talk about lesser of two evils? You gonna stay at home? Come on now.
We can't afford it.
No. And here's the thing, Dr. J. These not smart. These are not unsmart people. These are intellectuals saying that. You know what I mean? Like these are public intellectuals who say, I don't want to vote the lesser of I resent having to choose the lesser of two evils. And I'm like, listen, if you can sit back on your behind and be like, I don't want to, then you useless to me. Then you are a person of privilege. That's what you are.
After that daycare debate, you still.
Yeah. I mean, yes. I've heard people say they got mad because they prayed at the Democratic National Convention. I've heard somebody say that. And so because they prayed at the Democratic National Convention, they felt offended as someone who was a non-believer of God. And so they're not going to vote. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Ridiculous. I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. People are dying. All right. People are dying. And they're dying because these governors are in power and they are choosing to please this person who is biologically determined to be a man. They are choosing to please him rather than take care or be concerned about the lives of Black folks. And so for that, you need to vote. Forget your principles. I don't have time for your principles today.
And then you have to think about where would we be as a nation 30 and 40 years from now as a result of his administration.
Yes. You know, and I think about the fact, I mean, this wakes me up in the middle of the night that all these judges that they are putting on the Supreme Court and the intention is to
Roe versus Wade.
Roe versus Wade. Like that's the intention behind it. Like it's his payback to the white Christian voters, the white Christians who voted for him. And I think about, the fact that white women voted for him. They voted for him. They put him in office. And I go, don't you realize that man is beyond his history of sexual assault, not just his weirdness, you know what I mean? Which is, people can say that about Biden. This man has a history of sexual assault. Forget beyond that. He is an absolute hater of women. Yep. And you can put a check mark next to his name. It's not just reproductive. It's not just abortion. It's larger issues of reproduction that you will be affected by. It's women's health, period, that you will be affected by. And you vote against your own interests. It's astounding to me. Astounding to me. We have to fight that. We got to.
Well, I really have enjoyed this conversation. I really hate for it to end, but I would like for you to give the people any final words that you may have.
Final words. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting Dr. J. Thank you for If you on this call, the likelihood is that you are somebody who is concerned about the lives of Black people, and I thank you for that. Watch Lovecraft Country on Sunday and go vote.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you, and I pray that you have a blessed day. Thank you so much.
All right, Dr. J, take care. Have a good evening. All right,
Thank
bye.
you. Wow. Wasn't that a great conversation? Did you all enjoy that conversation? I was hoping you all asked more questions, but Aunjanue is she just have a lot of information, a lot of knowledge. She has her degree is in African American studies. Like this lady, when I tell you that she's not just doing these things just because she wants the attention or just because she want to be in the media, it's in her heart. Like she really believes in what she's doing. And so again, like I said, I've learned so much from her just over the years of us working to get this flag down. So I thank you all for watching the Fabulous Life Masterclass with Dr. J. My guest next week is Mara. Mara Hall. Mara Hall is also an actress, and she is a graduate of the Jackson State University, and she's appeared on Grey's Anatomy, and a lot of other shows. And so she will be here on next week. So make sure you all tune in to the Fabulous Life Masterclass with Dr. J, Thursdays at 8 p.m. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Remember, God is fabulous, and so are you.